Hello, how's everybody doing? Does anybody love Jesus out there? If you love him, say hallelujah. Praise God. So I am Pastor Tracy, and I am delighted to be here. I have the honor and the privilege of saying the prayer, the invocation. I believe that love is stronger than hate. And if there was ever a time we needed the Lord Jesus Christ, it is right now. Praise God. Amen. So if you could just do me a favor and just bow your heads, and then we'll pray together as we go to the throne of grace. Almighty God, we thank you for this gathering and for the opportunity to serve our nation. We ask your blessing upon our president, Donald Trump, and upon our vice president, JD Vance, and our leaders, and all who labor for the good of the people. Protect our country from every form of evil that would divide and destroy us, and guide us in the path of justice, unity, love, and peace. We also pray that you send salvation, because before men can change, hearts must change, and only God can change the heart. We also pray for prosperity, not only in resources, but in wisdom and in compassion and opportunity for every citizen. Grant us strength to meet the challenges ahead and courage to serve with integrity. And may this time together be marked with respect and a spirit of cooperation. In the precious name of Jesus, we pray. And the church said, God bless you. Give them a big hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Michigan Republican Party Chairman Jim Runstead.
Thank you. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. What an honor to welcome the Vice President Vance to Howell, Michigan. And one of the rare times we Michiganders will admit it, that we are proud to host someone from Ohio. It is fitting that we gather at Hatch Stamping, founded in 1952 by the brothers Raymond Walter and Joseph Hatch. Their story is pure American spirit. Seeing a need, taking a risk, and building a company that turned an idea into reality. President Trump knows private enterprise drives American growth. That is why he championed the big, beautiful bill, common sense legislation to fuel our economy, including permanent qualified business income deductions, full deduction for U.S.-based R&D expenses, 100% bonus for depreciation for equipment, vehicles, and software, and no taxes on overtime for our wonderful workers. These policies spur investment, expansion, and innovation. Thriving businesses create secure jobs, strong families, resilient communities, and building a stronger America. So here in Howell, Hatch Stamping proves it. Producing top quality work while investing in people, partnering with schools, supporting robotics teams, and offering lots of apprenticeship programs. That is where our focus must be. Helping businesses grow, not burying them under regulation and taxes. Big, beautiful bill, absolutely. But what it delivers is big, beautiful business here in the state of Michigan. Vice President Vance, welcome again to Michigan. We are eager to hear your vision for an even stronger American economy. And thank you once again for coming to Michigan.
Ladies and gentlemen, to lead us in the singing of our national anthem, please welcome to the stage Sergeant First Class Amy Pearson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets of the sky gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage State Representative Jason Wolford. Working 9 to 5, I wish. It's more than that. How awesome is it that we get to call Donald Trump and JD Vance our president and vice president? Let's go. Fellow patriots, today should be a reminder of the men who stood up for the revolution and said that enough is enough. They were ordinary farmers, tradesmen, and fathers, but they had the courage to believe in something greater than themselves. They believed in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They believed in passing down freedom to their children, even if it cost them everything. And it did. From the Revolutionary War to Pearl Harbor to the heartbreak of September 11th, we've always found strength and unity when we've been tested. And in just those moments, it has brought Americans together. It's brought us together in unity. And so will this tragic and untimely death of Charlie Kirk. Mind you, a man, like we tell children that are 5 years old to use their words. This is a man who used his words, and because he was effective, they killed him. However, in times of loss, we're reminded that these times unite us as a people, and we'll be stronger than we were before. He was a Charlie Kirk was a peacemaker, not a peacekeeper. And that is what is needed today in the times that we live. The word of God says in Matthew, "The blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God." Peacemaking is a messy business. It brings accountability. Today, I look around and I see that that spirit is needed once again, not because we face muskets or cannons, but because the values that made this nation strong are truly under attack. Our families are under attack, our men are under attack, and our women and children are under attack, and most importantly, our faith is under attack. Our very culture is being pushed aside. And I want you to know that there is a new revolution that we're called to fight. And it's not fought with weapons, it's fought with truth, with courage, and faith and conviction. In my work as chair of oversight in the state of Michigan, I have seen things that have made me shake my head. Billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I can only imagine what our forefathers would have thought if they could see what we were up against and what we were going through. But I'm thankful that we have a president of the United States of America that's a constitutional president who understands of returning power back to the state, to we the people. This is why I'm humbled to be in leadership in the House and working to make a tangible contribution and a difference. But I want to make it very obvious and clear that being a state representative, a congressman, a vice president, or a president is more than just spreadsheets and budgets. However, I'm happy to tell you the Michigan House Republicans cut the budget by $5 billion. That's a good place for a round of applause. It is also about protecting the soul of our state and our country. Cultural responsibility is just as real as fiscal responsibility. If we balance the books, but lose our families, our faith, and our freedoms, then we've lost everything that matters. And this is why I believe that religion and politics are both spiritual issues when you boil them down to their finite. The men who wrote the Declaration of Independence knew that their rights came from God, not government. And if they come from God, no bureaucrat, no fourth fictitious branch of the government, the administration state, has the ability to take them. Yet today we see that happening. They're making rules and punishing people and never being held accountable for what they've done. And our president and our vice president is doing that from the White House to the State House. We're bringing accountability. So in closing, yes, we are in a fight, not for power, not for titles, but for principle. From the White House to the State House, we're fighting for you, for the families, people who are trying to pay their bills, raise their children, and for the communities trying to hold on to their values that are near and dear to their heart, and for the veterans who gave everything so that we could be free here today. Remember that liberty was won by ordinary men and women who stood up when it mattered the most. And now it's my turn, it's your turn to stand up and fight. We must stand with the same courage, the same faith, and the same commitment to freedom, and to give freedom back and support those who dare challenge the status quo. I want to say again, thank you to the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and JD Vance, and Congressman Barrett, and all those like us that are serving to make freedom something that's real. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. And I'm honored and privileged to be your state representative.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage former Congressman Mike Rogers.
All right, you fired up? Before I get going, do me a favor. We have a new Army recruit, leaves next week for boot camp. Would she stand up for me? Where is she? Back here somewhere. Where she is? There she is. Just stand up right there. Thank you. All right. That's how we know we're going to win the next war right there, huh? We got people who are really still ready to serve this great country. I have to tell you, last November, something amazing happened. America came together like it has never come together before and said, we want to send President Trump and Vice President Vance to Washington, D.C. to do something big, to do hard things. And think of the pace that they are doing big things and hard things for this country. It's amazing. Think of it. Tax cuts, huge. They promised, they delivered. Secure borders, they promised, they delivered. They're cracking down on violent crime for the first time really in a generation, saying we will not put up with violence in the streets of America and we're going to do something about it. God bless them for doing it. I'm going to take just a minute to reflect on last week. 2 big days. In our family, 9/11 means something special, very personal to us. It inspired my wife to join and serve. She served in Iraq. My brother served in both Iraq and Afghanistan. We lost friends. We watched a nation in horror understand that there is so much hate for us in that group of people that they would take the time, energy, and intellect to kill 2,000 of our fellow citizens. Reminds us that people still want to take away what we have. That's why that recruit is so important for the future of the United States and everybody that served their country and still believes that this is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. I want to reflect just a minute on the other tragedy. A horrifying public assassination of Charlie Kirk. I will tell you this. They didn't kill him because he was a fascist. They called him a fascist so they could justify killing him. And I think America woke up. Yeah, you bet. We are, Charlie. Well done. And something important happened. There was no burning. There was no looting. Thousands and thousands of people came to vigils all across this state, all across this country, to reflect, to pray for his family, to pray for the future of our country. There was no talk of revenge. There was no reaching for the ammo box, but I tell you what they did do. They inspired a new generation of people who said, we will activate and get to the ballot box coming next year. Yeah, you can applaud that. That's good. Matter of fact, where's our Turning Point crowd? Where are they? Raise your hands. Look at them. That is the folks that are going to help get that done. God bless you. They will pick up this mantle and have the same courage to talk about their faith and the future and boundaries for a better country. Pretty fired up about that. And you just get to see, that's Michigan State. I know there are chapters all over this great state. And this revival that we're hearing and talking about, why President Trump and Vice President Vance wanted to be here in this manufacturing facility, it's this revival of Michigan manufacturing. It is coming. And it's personal to me. I'm the youngest of 5 boys. My father was a shop teacher. And by the way, if you called it industrial arts in my family, you might get a backhand. It was shop, metalworking, mechanics, woodworking. He was excellent at all of it. And he made sure all 5 of us boys took that when we went to high school. Because he always believed building things was the key ingredient and cornerstone of a great nation, a great community. And when you think about my time on the assembly line, I worked in 2 different assembly lines. One that built Chrysler Sebring convertibles. Those were great cars, and if you got one that wasn't, I didn't build that one. And I worked in a plant that made the materials that went into dashboards in cars. They were phenomenal jobs. And when I was young growing up, you could see factories everywhere. Remember the Wixom plant where they now send RVs? Right? We lost so much for so long because people weren't paying attention. And China was glad to catch all of it. This president and this vice president have had the courage to stand up and say, no longer, not on our watch, it's coming home. And think of this, it's working. They've laid out a plan, think of it. Less taxation, less regulation, and fair trade does bring back jobs. We're seeing it. General Motors announced $4 billion investment in Michigan. New investment. Yeah, you bet. That's jobs. John Deere, $20 billion. Westinghouse, $6 billion. And this is an important one too. Johnson & Johnson announced they were going to spend $55 billion bringing manufacturing back. And I'll tell you why that's important. We count on China for 80% of all the active ingredients in medicine. 80%. I don't know about you. I don't really want to count on the Chinese if we got health problems. They are going to make that investment to bring it back so we can start standing up and be the America that all of us grew up in and this generation wants to grow up in. And we're that close. Yeah, you bet. And I'll tell you what else works. This is great. And by the way, I was talking to the crew back here. They had to stop operations today to put this on. Thank you all very, very much. The good news is I think there's going to be overtime in getting this place back going again. And guess what? It's tax-free. You're not paying. Oh, come on, people. That's exciting. And think what's going to happen this year. A median income in state of Michigan with 2 kids is going to get a tax break of $4,400. If they work overtime, it goes up to nearly $5,000 cash in their pocket. That's what happened when you elected Donald Trump and Vice President Vance. We have somebody kind of related to the campaign, bartender, right? He is on his way to get that $12,500 back because of no tax on tips. Think of that. It's $1,000 a month, and he's working hard. He's also working overtime, by the way. He said that's another $1,700 in his pocket. 14 grand shoved in his pocket for a better way of life for him, his girlfriend, and whatever comes next for him. And it makes him want to work more, which is the whole idea. So that bill that you hear people demonizing and tearing, it's terrible and wow, it's awful. You think of those families that are at $4,400 or $5,000 or $12,000 in their pocket because President Trump and Vice President Vance had the courage and commitment to usher through the largest tax decrease in the history of the country. Yeah. And by the way, that bartender made it very clear. He said, I'll never vote for another Democrat again. Why is it important, that change that keeps going? And they're here to talk. I know the Vice President's here to talk about the good things that are happening. We just so much more work to do. You know, Michigan has sent 2 Democrat senators back to Washington, D.C. for the last 32 years. Think of that. Yeah, you bet. In that time, listen, we've lost 30,000 manufacturing jobs. Our education went from the top 10. We're now number 44 in the country. We have the 4 most violent cities in America in Michigan. Think of that. It just doesn't have to be. Imagine having someone back that could walk into the Oval Office and say, Mr. President, this is what we need for Michigan. Wow, we just haven't had that. You're not going to have that. Nah, thank you. This is not a political event, but thank you. The Dems in both Washington and Lansing have failed us. You know, they opposed that bill. That would mean about, on average, $6,000 increase across the board. So you go from having $5 grand in your pocket to now owing, well, it's about $4,500 per Michigan family. You can think of a $9,000 swing in your budget. They have walked right past people who work for a living. They have walked right past our schools and saying they're for education, why our kids can't read and can't do math at unbelievable numbers. I know we can do better. The president knows we can do better. The vice president knows he can do better. And I know you know we can do better in the state of Michigan. So it's just one thing, reason I know Michigan can get back into this arsenal of democracy, because that's exactly what we were called after World War II. Think of that. We went from building in 1941 automobiles that had 15,000 parts. World War II kicks off. We needed manufacturing like we've never needed manufacturing before. In a very short period of time, Henry Ford went from making cars to making airplanes with over 1 million parts. We gave the world, when we did all of that, we gave them a middle class. We gave the world Rosie the Riveter. We gave the world the safety and security of the prowess of building things in our communities to save the world. That's why Michigan was called the arsenal of democracy. If you think of the challenges we have ahead, the things that we've accomplished, the things that this president, this vice president, and Republicans back in Washington have been able to do for the country in such a short period of time, I know that we're going to get our kids reading again. I know that we're going to have our communities given back to families so they can walk safely to the park, to the school, to the grocery store again. That's coming. I will say that because of that challenge that we've met before, because of the kinds of things that happen next week, we know that we have these challenges that face us. I believe that we are still the greatest nation on the face of the earth. And because of that spirit, that DNA of being able to build things for a better generation, for a better family, for a better future for our country, there is nothing we can't do if we stand together. God bless you. Don't let this be the last time you get excited and interested in doing something important for your community, your country. This is our chance. This is our time to make America and set it back on that track and join the president and vice president to making America great again. God bless you. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Michigan State TPUSA President Alex Bitson.
Good afternoon, everyone. As all of you know, last week, Charlie Kirk was assassinated at an event in Utah. In the wake of that, I want to speak briefly about his legacy and about the future of the conservative movement. Charlie was a devout Christian, a husband to his wife, Erica, and a father to 2 children. With that as his foundation, he became a source of political inspiration to many, me included. Just a few short months ago, I had the honor of hosting him on Michigan State's campus. I shook his hand, tossed out these hats, and watched as over 2,500 of my fellow students enjoyed the ultimate example of American political excellence: free, open, spirited public debate. Tragically, that larger-than-life figure representing the best of our nation has been torn from us at 31 years old. He's no longer going to host campus events. He's not going to write books. He's not going to speak at conferences inspiring the next generation. He's not going to kiss his wife or hug his young children. Amidst the rise in rhetorical temperature, political violence, and social upheaval, it's easy to distance ourselves, to think that hatred's far away. After all, President Trump thankfully ended up okay, and Charlie's event was 1,000 miles away from here. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, everyone, but hatred and evil is closer to home than we think. Since Charlie's assassination, I've watched as countless people have justified, minimized, and even celebrated his death. As an MSU student, I've seen it in our internal social media networks. Teachers around the country have done the same, including at least one at the University of Michigan. Elected representatives have refused moments of silence and prayer for his family, instead choosing to laugh and jeer. One particularly disgusting post online even said the following: "Can Erica Kirk be next? Then the 2 children can be placed with foster parents who will have them properly educated and grow up hating their parents." It's hard to even say those words out loud. Even those politically mature enough to say, "I oppose political violence, but," are so filled with hatred that they can't resist the opportunity to attack Charlie now that he's no longer alive to defend himself. Evil is scarily close to home. Charlie wasn't an extremist. He was respectful, and he never called for violence. He was simply a man who passionately advocated for public discourse, personal freedoms, and limited government. His respectful ethos and mass appeal make his death even more concerning. It's become clear that a significant portion of our country doesn't just hate Charlie. They hate the good, the true, and the beautiful. They hate you for simply daring to disagree with them. In the wake of Charlie's death, many have called for unity in opposition to political violence. I agree. Violence is always unacceptable, and we must coalesce around a shared vision for our country. But responsibility for that unity does not fall on conservatives to be conciliatory, giving in to the left for the sake of getting along. We must not be cowed into submission, scared of the consequences of speaking up or lying to ourselves, that softening our beliefs is unifying. Responsibility for the collapse of our social fabric falls on those who've spent years calling everyone they disagree with racist, Nazi, bigot, Hitler, and fascist. They got us here, and they must get us out. As conservatives, we have an obligation to spread Charlie's legacy. We must pick up the microphone where he left it, bloodied in Utah, and work to save our country. No one's been a better example of this than Vice President Vance, and we sincerely thank him for his efforts. I want to challenge each and every person in the audience today, within the next week, do something to save your country. Join a Turning Point or College Republicans chapter. Donate to political causes, volunteer, post online, have conversations with your neighbors, wear your conservative merch in public, ask your pastor to speak out. Boldly and peacefully stand with your convictions. I don't pretend it's going to be easy, guys. It's not. You almost certainly will be criticized and mocked. I have. Might have conflicts with friends and family. I have as well. But it's worth it. For your trouble, you get to look yourself in the mirror and know that you played a part in helping the greatest nation in the history of mankind. I'm optimistic for the future, everyone. The number of people who have reached out in support of Charlie's mission in the last week has been incredible. Memorials in every city have had thousands of attendees. Professional football and baseball teams have interrupted their games to pay their respects. Turning Point USA has received over 50,000 new chapter requests. To put that in perspective, guys, that's over 1.5 chapter requests for every single high school and every single college in the country. We have a job to do. There's work to be done. We must do it in Charlie's memory. We're going to continue to encourage dialogue, host speakers, debate on campus, and build community. We must not allow his mission and his legacy to die with him. This is a turning point for our country. God bless Charlie Kirk, and may God bless the United States of America.
And the bass keeps running and running and running and running. In this context, there's no disrespect, so when I bust my rhyme, you break your neck. We got 5 minutes for us to disconnect from all intellect and let the rhythm affect. Lose the inhibition, follow your intuition, free your inner soul and break away from tradition. Because when we be out, it's full of beat out. You wouldn't believe how we wow shit. We turn it till it's word out, turn it till it's heard out. Act up from northwest, east side. Everybody here, let's get into it. Get stoked, get started, get started. Let's get it 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 started. Lose control of body and soul. Don't move too fast, we'll just take it slow. Don't get ahead, just jump into it. Y'all hear about it? The P's are doing. Get started, get stupid. Don't walk about it, people will walk you through it step by step like an infant new kid. Inch by inch with a new solution. Transmit hits with no delusion. The feelings irresistible and that's how we move it. Everybody here, let's get into it. Get stupid, get started, get started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Running. Come on, y'all. Let's get it. That's the deal. At the gate, will be the bugged out thrill. Lose your mind, this is the time. Your case is still just bang your spine. Just bob your head like me, Apple D. Up inside your club or in your Bentley. Get messy, loud and sick. Fast number on another head trip. Come them now, do not correct it. Let's get ignorant, let's get hectic. Everybody, let's get into it. Get stoked, get started, get started, get started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Where it began, I can't begin to knowing, but then I know it's growing strong. Wasn't the spring, and spring became the summer. Who'd have believed you'd come along? Hand, touching hand, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Good times never seem so good. Happy fly to believe now. Look at the night, and it don't seem so lonely. We fill it up with only two. And when I hurt, hurting runs off my shoulder. How can I hurt when holding you? Warm, touching warm, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Good times never seem so good. To believe there never was. No, no. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. Sweet Caroline, I believe they never could. Sweet just take those off the shelf. Listen to myself. Today's music ain't same song.
to a disco. You never the 10 minutes I feel it for my time of rocking. Still rocking. Music just soothes the soul. That old time of rocking and roll. Always feels like a tango. Hear some blues and funk and old soul. That's all that motion away to get me to go. Stop playing all time of rock and roll. And what you will say, I'm over the hill. Today's music ain't got the flame soul. Time of rock and roll. Rock and roll. Music just soothes the soul. With that old time of rock and roll. Music just soothes the soul. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Music just soothes the soul. I reminisce about the days of old with that old time rock and roll. Rock and roll. Music just soothes the soul. I reminisce about the days with that old time rock and roll. Rock and roll. We've been together way back when. Sometimes I want to see you again, but I want you to know after all these years, you're still the one I want with my ears. You're still the one I want with. Still the one that turns my head. We're still having fun. Still the one. I look at your face every day, but I never thought I went away. I just wanted to go. You're still the one that makes me laugh. Still the one that's my better half. We're still having fun. You're still the one. You're still the one that makes me strong. Still the one I wanna take you along. We're still having fun. You're still the one. You are. Even though we go, still, and I can't get enough. We're still, it's got it's still with which we're still and still you are still yeah, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there. And they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air. Make 'em stay there. Ludacris going in on the verse, cause I never been defeated and I won't stop now. Keep your hands up, get them in the sky for the homies that ain't making it in my 4 block down. I never went nowhere. What they saying, Luda's back. Blame it on that contour. The hood call it Luda-yak. And I'm on this foolish track, so I spit my foolish flow. My hands go up and down, like strippers' booties go. My verses still be serving, tight like a million birds. And last time on a college remix, now I'm on the original version. Can't never count me out, y'all better count me in. Got 20 bank accounts, accountant count me in. Make millions every year, the South champions. Cause all I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there. And they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air. Swerving in my low, head on the swivel, you know serving me's a no-no. Clean as a whistle as I pull out in my Rolls Royce. Yellow phone passenger, they see it, they say, oh boy. Tell Kelly, back it up, my niggas call me loco. Down for armed trafficking, don't make me pull that fofo. Ask you what you laughing at, represent that mud life. Dirty money, bitch, you better get your mud right. We come together, holding hands and holler Bud Light. We all strapping all black, it's like Bud Light. You riding the what? Cause we riding the night. Now she riding with me cause you wasn't riding. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there. And they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make 'em stay there.
Heat in the kitchen, hot on the stove, water getting boiled. Dope being slow, Snoopy in the hookie, system overload. I've been running this rap game since I was 20 years old. I hung with the worst of them, bust to my personal, floss them up, toss them up, harder way, close them up. Pardon me, I'm both enough, break you up, bless you, bro, don't mess with us. We like the youth in the 80s. Back to back, set a track, hit the lick, hit it back, hit the trick, jump the track. Bitch, I want my money back. Time and time again, while I'm sipping on this gin. Al David said it best, just win, baby, win.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there. Down, down, cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, you stay there.
used to think maybe you love me. Now, baby, I'm sure. And I just can't wait till the day when you knock on my door. Now, every time I go for the mailbox, gotta hold myself down. Because I just can't wait till you write me you're coming around. Now I'm walking on sunshine. I'm walking on sunshine. I'm walking on sunshine. And it doesn't feel good. Hey. It doesn't feel good. Yeah. I used to think maybe you love me. Now I know that's true. And I don't want to spend my whole life just waiting for you. Now I don't want you back for the weekend. You're not back for a day. No, no. Just want you back, and I want you to stay. Yeah, I'm walking on sunshine. I'm walking on sunshine. I'm walking on sunshine. Walking on sunshine. Walking on sunshine. I feel alive, 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 on sunshine. On sunshine, baby. I'm walking on sunshine. I'm walking on sunshine. I'm walking on sunshine. Oh, I feel good.
It was 1989, my thoughts were short, my hair was long. Caught somewhere between a boy and man. She was 17 and he was far from in between. It was summertime in northern Michigan. Splashing through the sandbar, talking about a campfire. It's the simple things in life, like when and where. We didn't have no internet, but man, I never will forget the way the moonlight shined upon her hair. And we were trying different things, and we were smoking funny things, making love out by the lake to our favorite song. Sipping whiskey at the bottle, not thinking about tomorrow. Singing Sweet Home Alabama all summer long. Singing Sweet Home Alabama all summer long. Catching walleye from the dock, watching the waves roll off the rocks. She'll forever hold a spot inside my soul. We blister in the sun, we couldn't wait for night to come to hit that sand and play some rock and roll. While we were trying different things, and we were smoking funny things, making love out by the lake to our favorite song. Sipping whiskey out the bottle, not thinking about tomorrow. Singing Sweet Home Alabama all summer long. Singing Sweet Home Alabama all summer long. Now nothing seems as strange as when the leaves begin to change. Oh, how we thought those days would never end. Sometimes I hear that song and I'll start to sing along and think, man, I'd love to see that girl again. We were trying different things, and we were smoking funny things, making love out by the lake to our favorite song. Sipping whiskey out the bottle, not thinking about tomorrow. Singing Sweet Home Alabama all summer long. We were trying different things, and we were smoking funny things, making love out by the lake to our favorite song. Sipping whiskey out the bottle, not thinking about tomorrow. Singing Sweet Home Alabama all summer long. 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 Sweet Home Alabama.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen. Pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working to find what a way to make a living, barely getting by. It's all taking and no giving. Just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy. For service and devotion, you would deserve a fair promotion. Want to move ahead, but the boss won't seem to let me. I swear. They let you dream just to watch them shatter. You're just a step on the boss man's ladder, but you got dreams he'll never take away. Same boat with a lot of your friends, waiting for the day your ship will come in and the tide's gonna turn and it's all gonna roll your way. Working now, run away, make you live steady, getting by. It's all taking and no giving. Just use your mind and you never get ready. It's enough to try and move. Crazy if you they got you where they want you. You think about it, don't you? It's all great and scary. No matter what they call it, you spend your life. I don't think they make don't take it no give. Use your mind and they never give you credit. I said upside down, you're giving love instinctively. upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round. Instinctively, you give to me the love I need. I cherish the moments with you. Respectfully, I say to thee, I'm aware that you're cheating when no one makes me feel like you do. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside and round. No charm and appeal, you always play the beat. I'm crazy to think you're all mine. As long as the sun continues to shine, there's a place in my heart for you, that's the bottom line. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round. Instinctively, you give to me the love I need. I cherish the moments with you. Respectfully, I say to thee, I'm aware that you're cheating, but no one makes me feel like you do. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. You turn me. You're giving love instinctively, round and round. You turn me. I say to thee respectfully, upside down. You turn me. You're giving love instinctively, around and around. You turn me. I say to thee respectfully, I said upside down. You're giving love instinctively, around and around. I say to thee respectfully, upside down. You turn me. You're giving love instinctively. I say to thee, upside down.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Congressman Tom Barrett.
Music, music, music. Listen to the music. Music.
Hey. Thank you. How is everybody? Are you excited to hear from the Vice President today? All right. I woke up this morning in Washington, D.C., and it was swampy and foggy and rainy. And I said, I wonder what it's like in Howell today. We should go check it out. And here we are. And I'm so proud and thankful to represent you and to be your voice in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. You know, I take it really seriously that I'm there to be your voice and the voice of your families and the people of mid-Michigan that send me to Washington, D.C., and not to be Washington's voice back here at home. So it's an honor and a privilege to represent you, and I can't tell you how excited I am today to have the Vice President joining us here in our district, to see really the hard work and the dedication and the commitment that each and every one of you have to our country, to our state, to your communities, and to your families, and the livelihoods that we're blessed to have in a place like this that can provide for families all across this region. So we're so thankful. I also want to give a shout out to our state lawmakers. I know you heard from Jason Wolford earlier, but our state lawmakers are busy in Lansing. You may have heard they're working on the state budget. They're kind of are under a shot clock to get that done. But of course, we want to recognize Senator Lana Tice. Oh, Lana's here. Lana, great to see you. And Representatives Jason Wolford and Ann Boleyn, they're working hard right now on your behalf in Lansing and couldn't be here for the full extent today, but wanted to recognize them. I also see Brian Ignatowski is here, so very good to see you. And I know we have a number of young students here from the local Turning Point chapter at Michigan State University, and I think that they were backstage a little while ago. I don't know if they've come back out or not, but I do want to, are they out here? Oh, very good. Very good. Good to see you guys. Let's give them an applause. Of course, we can't go forward today without acknowledging just the horrific, tragic, and gruesome loss of life of Charlie Kirk. Today is Constitution Day, and it's really, I think, something that we ought to take a step back and acknowledge is somebody like Charlie Kirk, who stood for the constitutional values that we all take for granted and died in the pursuit of really illustrating, highlighting, and amplifying those constitutional values. Paramount among them is the right to free speech. And that's something that we all continue to grapple with and struggle with. And I think a takeaway from that, I hope, is that we are at a turning point now as a country. And we have a choice to make which way we're going to turn. And I hope we turn the right way toward the side of seeing in one another God's creation. We're all created in the image and likeness of God. And seeing that in one another is something that we need to get back to. And that's really my hope as we go forward as a nation healing in this way. And I'm really excited to be here, joining you today and welcoming the Vice President. Hatch Stamping is, I got to take a little bit of a tour backstage and saw some of their automated welding machines and stuff like that, and some cool stuff. I asked if I could get on the machine and play with it for a little while, and they were a little reluctant to let me do that. So maybe afterward, right? You guys will let me on for a little bit? So very good. Thank you for having us out today. We really do appreciate it. And I just want to quickly highlight a few of the elements of the Working Families Tax Cut that we worked so hard this year to get passed. Of course, Vice President Vance was the deciding tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate to get that done and across the finish line. I mean, we didn't have a problem in the House, but apparently over in the Senate, they needed a tiebreaker. So, but we got the job done on our side. But really, we were fundamentally focused on what we could do to help working families get ahead after the loss of wages and the cost of living crisis that so many of us were facing under the Biden administration with crushing inflation and supply chain challenges and everything costing more and more, we wanted to deliver for the working families of America. And I'm proud to say we were able to do that. We staved off the largest tax increase in American history by extending the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act to allow you to keep more of your own money and decide how you're going to spend it. We also permanently increased the child tax credit so that raising a family will be more affordable in America today. We eliminated, of course, taxes on tips and overtime, so the hardest working people will have the most to gain from this. We also, I'm proud to say, increased the adoption tax credit. So any family who wants to adopt a child will not be facing the staggering cost of adoption and can provide a loving home for a child that needs it. And I'm proud to say that we did that. We also slashed taxes on Social Security, so now more than 85% of senior citizens on Social Security will pay no taxes on their Social Security whatsoever. All of this will increase take-home pay for families by an average of $10,000 per year. That's real money in today's America and something that I'm proud that we were able to do. In other words, we finally put working families, not the elites, in the driver's seat for our policies in the United States. But we didn't stop there. The historic tax relief is already energizing our economy and creating jobs across Michigan and across our country. The permanent tax cuts are empowering small businesses to keep more of their own investment, to hire more workers, give more raises, or invest in more equipment that they need. We're also providing a huge boost to Michigan's auto manufacturers, taking away taxes on automobile interest for cars that are made in America, like the ones made right here in my district, with parts that are made right here in this factory. So I hope you can tell I'm excited. I know you are as well. We're super excited to have the Vice President join us today. Like each of you in this room, the Vice President understands what it means to come from Midwestern roots with a working class background. In print and from the podium, he's told his powerful story that all of us have seen in really overcoming troubles and economic turmoil to achieve the great success and ultimately land him in the Vice President's office of the United States of America. He served our country in the Marines, and what I'm most proud of is that he was an enlisted Marine. Yes. I'm the only warrant officer in Congress. And of course, Vice President Vance is one of the only enlisted men that have served in such a high office in our nation. And I think that's a great return back to the working class roots and those that actually get the job done, that go on the deployments and do the mission and complete it. So I'm really excited to hear from him today. But before we welcome the Vice President to the stage, I have the privilege of introducing another member of President Trump's cabinet, our Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez-DeRemer. She's a tremendous advocate for the working men and women all across America. And I asked her on the flight over today, she said that she has been to Michigan more than any other state since she was sworn in as Secretary of Labor. That proves, yes. That proves the commitment that this administration has to Michigan. They were here during the campaign. They told you how important it was. And they have continued that commitment by having members of the cabinet and the Vice President coming here more than any other state. I'm proud to welcome Lori Chavez-DeRemer to the stage, Secretary of Labor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom, for that kind introduction. You're doing great at representing your district here in Michigan, and I'm honored to be with you and the Vice President today at Hatch Stamping. That's right. Give it a hand. This is my first time on the road with the Vice President Vance, and it is fitting that we're starting right here in the heart of America's Industrial Revolution as we continue fighting to put America workers first. With close ties to businesses and unions, I was thought by some to be an unconventional pick to serve as the labor secretary in a Republican administration. But President Trump and Vice President Vance ignited a historic coalition, and they wanted someone who could bring everyone to the table and listen to the voices of the forgotten working class. No one understands this better than the Vice President, and I am grateful that he and the President trusted me to serve as your 30th Secretary of Labor. I'm proud to deliver this message. The golden age of America is here. Nine months into this administration, America First policies have created hundreds of thousands of private sector jobs, and job growth has been entirely among native-born Americans. Working class wages are up, and GDP growth has smashed expectations. We've also seen nearly $8 trillion in private investment since Inauguration Day, which will bring mortgage-paying jobs back to the United States. Turns out, all we needed to kick off the golden age was a new president. We have a master negotiator in the Oval Office who is putting American interests first again. President Trump has been striking new trade deals to restore our nation as the world's manufacturing superpower. Time and again, this administration has proven its commitment to putting American workers first. A prime example is the working family tax cut that President Trump and Vice President Vance spearheaded. This big, beautiful bill delivered no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, and no tax on Social Security. Working class families can expect to see an average of $10,000 more in take-home pay. As a mom of twin girls, and now a grandmother, and my one daughter and my grandson, who also live in Michigan, Saginaw, Michigan, are here. I know just how life-changing it can be for a family of four when paychecks go further. I've told my former colleagues in Congress that the working family tax cut was probably the most important piece of legislation that they'll get to vote on, and one of the most pro-worker bills in modern history. At the Labor Department, we're very excited about the provisions to expand Pell Grants for technical education, which will help attract future tradesmen and women to the job market. You all know that America won't be forged in the halls of these woke universities. It will be built by the hands of our skilled workers. This is the belief that Charlie Kirk and I shared. When talking about the next generation of American workers, I think about Charlie, who was always fighting for what he believed in and standing up for future generations. It's been 1 week since we lost him, and my prayers are with his wife, Erica, his beautiful children, and all of his loved ones. Charlie Kirk was an advocate for alternative pathways to workforce, recently having said, "We need more electricians and less sociology majors." He understood that living a life of meaning and contributing to your community was far more important than a piece of paper. We will honor Charlie's legacy by keeping up the fight for the next generation. And we're going to do that by continuing to expand apprenticeships so that our young people have an alternative pathway to success beyond a four-year degree. Since January, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Labor has registered over 180,000 new apprentices, and nearly 1,800 new registered apprenticeship programs have launched nationally. I'm confident that we will reach President Trump's goal of 1 million active apprentices across this country. But we can't achieve this goal without learning the needs of our communities. You know, when I started this job, I told my team that I wanted to be on the ground hearing from you all directly. That's why I launched my 50-state tour, America at Work, to learn how the actions in Washington impact your daily lives. My door is always open, and it's an honor to serve you and defend your shot at the American dream. I'd now like to introduce someone who embodies that dream. Vice President JD Vance has never forgotten his Rust Belt roots and has fought tirelessly to support the heartland. He serves the American people with deep understanding of what hardworking men and women in this country are up against and what they are capable of. Our Vice President knows the true heartbeat of America is not in Washington, D.C. It's right here with you. He's doing an incredible job to help revive our manufacturing sector and ignite our economy. And it's an honor to work with him to put you, the American worker, first. Please join me, ladies and gentlemen, in welcoming the United States Vice President, Mr. JD Vance.
Thank you guys. Please. Thank you all. Well, it's great to be here in the great state of Michigan. I always loved coming to Michigan on the campaign trail, and I'd always said, you know, the most dangerous place maybe this Ohio State grad visited was Michigan on the campaign trail, but you all were always kind and friendly and good to me. We love you too. Thank you, sir. It's good to see you again, man. I'm not going to do that here. Somebody yelled out OH. I'm not doing that here. Don't insult your hosts is the basic thing that I learned in politics. Let me just say a few things, a few words of gratitude. First of all, you guys are lucky to have a great congressman who fights for working people in the state of Michigan. Tom Barrett, where are you, Tom? Thank you so much for what you do. We talk a lot about the working families tax cuts. We talk about no taxes on overtime, which we are proud to deliver. No taxes on tips, which we are proud to deliver. The lowest taxes that we've had in this country in a very long time because Tom Barrett went to Washington and fought for the people of this district. Thank you so much, Tom, for everything that you do. I want to thank, of course, the leadership of this great American manufacturer. Hatch was founded in 1952 by two brothers. Where are we at here? Where's the leadership of Hatch at? Thank you, guys. Stand up. Come on. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, guys. I got a little tour with Daniel Craig and Wally earlier today. Thank you guys so much. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, Wally. I don't want to insult you or look like an idiot in front of the TV cameras, but you guys, this is a great facility. So it started, of course, manufacturing parts for M1 rifles for the American warfighter, and now it manufactures all kinds of automotive components that we rely on each and every single day. And one of the things they told me is that business got maybe a little tough, a little uncertain when they had a president of the United States who was obsessed with telling everybody to drive an electric vehicle because too many of those electric vehicle components were not made in America. But now that we are leaning in to great American-made automobiles, Hatch is doing better, the American auto worker is doing better, and President Trump and I are proud to fight for you each and every single day. I've also got to thank our incredible Secretary of Labor. You just heard from her, Secretary Chavez DeRemer. Let's get a round of applause for the great Secretary of Labor. Now, she is a very, very interesting person. She has got a great career. She had a great career in Congress, but I have never met anybody on either the Republican Party or the Democrat Party who is more obsessed with fighting for American workers every single day. She wants our workers to have the best training. She wants our workers to have the best benefits. She wants our workers to have the highest wages. And thanks to her work, we're getting closer every single day to being the most pro-worker administration in the history of the United States of America. So thank you, Madam Secretary. We also have Michigan GOP Chair Jim Runstad. Where's Jim at? Jim, thank you for everything that you're doing. Now, Jim did such a good job during the last election in 2024 that the previous GOP chair, Pete Heckstra, is now our ambassador to Canada. So if you do a really good job, man, you might just get a promotion. Who knows? But he's doing a great job here in Michigan, and we're going to fight with him for the next couple of years to make sure that we're electing candidates who actually serve the interests of Michiganders and serve the interests of the American worker. And that's what we're here for, and we'll never forget it. So I want to say just one thing about my friend Charlie Kirk. I want to talk about Charlie Kirk for a little bit. And the last group I want to have be recognized here is we have got a lot of kids, and I hate to call you kids, but when you're 41 years old, you guys are kids. TPUSA is a great organization founded by my friend Charlie Kirk that takes the message of free speech and conservative values all over our college campuses here in the state of Michigan and elsewhere. And we've got some proud TPUSA folks here. Would you guys stand up and be recognized by the crowd? We love you. We love these kids, and we love the organization that was founded by Charlie Kirk. And I know I speak for all of the kids behind me, all of the great TPUSA members, and also the alums, that over the past 10 years, Turning Point USA has not just been an organization, it has been the fountain of a movement all across the United States of America. If you look at just the youth vote in 2024 and how much young voters shifted from Democrat to Republican from 2020 to 2024, Charlie Kirk created a movement. And that movement made Donald J. Trump the president of the United States, and it made me the vice president of the United States. I would not be here without Charlie. But Charlie was an exceptionally talented individual. People don't realize how integral he was, how important Charlie Kirk was. He helped us staff the administration with solid people like Secretary Chavez DeRemer. He made sure that when we hired somebody, that it was a smart person, but it was also a kind and decent person. You see him at these college events, and he would talk to anybody. He didn't care if you were a Democrat, a Republican, a liberal, a conservative, if you supported the Trump administration or not. He felt that the most important American political virtue was to just get out there and talk to our fellow Americans. And I hate to say that a week ago, he was doing what he did best. He was doing what he loved, and an assassin gunned him down for daring to say things that assassin thought were wrong or shouldn't be said. Well, I think I speak for every person in this room, and I think I speak for a majority of our fellow Americans when I say we do not attack or commit violence against people because we disagree with their ideas. We debate ideas, and we're going to keep on debating them in honor of the great Charlie Kirk for as long as I have a microphone. But the last thing I want to say about Charlie, my friends, is he was more than a political organizer, more than a person who literally helped make me the vice president of the United States. And I'll never forget it, Charlie, that I would not be here were it not for you. He was a good guy. He was a good friend. I mean, all of these people who have been involved in TPUSA, Turning Point USA, it wasn't just a debate society. It wasn't just a political organization. It gave these kids a sense of home and a sense of purpose in often very hostile places. If you were a young conservative or you were a young Christian and you were worried that a professor might give you a bad grade for being who you were, Charlie's Turning Point USA gave you a home. If you were worried that you had an idea that was maybe disfavored by your social group, if you were worried that you believed something that was just a little too controversial for a college campus, Turning Point USA gave you a home, it gave you friends, it gave you moral support, and that is what I think must live on in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death. I have friends who met a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, who met the best man at their wedding at Turning Points USA because it was an organization of patriots dedicated to making this country the very best country that it could be. And I would like to think that whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, this basic idea of young people gathering to discuss and debate, that is the thing that we cannot let pass away just because the leader of Turning Points USA was gunned down by an assassin. And I want to let you know that whether you're a Democrat or Republican, whatever your belief is, I will fight for your right to speak your mind. We reject political violence and we reject the crazy left-wing radicals that gunned down our friend Charlie Kirk. Let's talk to one another and not try to shoot each other down for disagreeing. You know, one of the things that Charlie worked on very, very hard was the very bill that we're going to talk about today. I remember having so many phone conversations, so many text conversations with Charlie about how to make the bill better, about how to do more for working families. Because you know what, Charlie, he believed exactly what I believed and exactly what the President of the United States believed, that we have got to rebuild the American dream, especially for our young people, which is why this big, beautiful bill does so much to bring American manufacturing back to the United States of America. These working families tax cuts, they don't just cut your taxes, though they certainly do. They reward companies for building and investing in the United States of America. Because isn't it nice to have an administration that is fighting for the businesses and the workers that are building right here at home rather than shipping our jobs off to Asia or Mexico? We fought for no taxes on overtime and no taxes on tips because we want you to keep more of your hard-earned money. We fought for an increase to the child tax credit because we want to make it easier for young families to bring new life into this world and to raise that new life in security and prosperity and comfort. The working families tax cut is not just a big 1,000-page bill. It is an important part, maybe the most important part, to restarting the American dream in this country. Wouldn't it be nice to have a president, and now we do, who builds in America rather than rewards companies for shipping jobs overseas? Wouldn't it be nice to have an administration that actually gives you more of your hard-earned money rather than taking more of it for hard-earned or for government bureaucrats? Wouldn't it be nice to have an administration that fights for your ability to keep more money in your pocket? Wouldn't it be nice to have an administration that punishes corporations that ship our jobs overseas, but rewards businesses for building right here in the great state of Michigan? That is what we promised to do, and that is what we're doing every single day. Now, I don't know if you saw the headlines this morning, if you turned on the TV this morning, but the president right now is participating in a great state visit to the United Kingdom, our closest ally, of course, going back to the very beginning of our country when we didn't always agree very early on. But pretty much since then, they've been very close friends of the United States, about 200 years, our most important ally in the world. And the president is over there. And somebody asked me, would you rather be in England celebrating the state visit? I said, no, I'd rather be right here in the great state of Michigan where people are grilled with great products for the American people. So with all due respect to our great president and all due respect to the King of England, I am so proud to be right here where I am today with all of you talking about all of the ways in which we can continue to build an America that works for normal Americans again. And that means a lot of things. Part of making this country work for you all is making sure you're safe in your communities and safe in your streets. And one of the proudest things the President of the United States has done in Washington, D.C. and in Memphis as of a couple of days ago is to send the National Guard to take back American streets. We deserve to be safe in our communities again, and that's what the President is making happen. And it's so funny, you go to these places and, you know, the TV cameras, very often the fake news media, all due respect to the fake news. We love them, even when we don't. They show up in these places and they put a microphone or a camera in front of somebody who they assume is a Democratic voter. And they say, what do you think about Donald Trump deploying these people to your city? And every single person says, it's a great idea. I just want to be safe. And we're glad the president is making that happen. So my one message to Governor Gretchen Whitmer here in the state of Michigan is, oh, come on. My one message to Gretchen Whitmer is, look, the city of Detroit, we know, has got some serious crime problems. And we know that it's the people in Detroit who suffer the most when crime is allowed to run rampant all over city streets. Gretchen, we are happy to send the National Guard to Detroit, Michigan. All you got to do is ask. We got to remember, the streets are safer when law enforcement is allowed to put the bad guys away. And just as we want to protect your job and we want to make sure you have a good wage when you work hard, we also want to make sure when you go home, you can enjoy your neighborhood and enjoy your community and safety. You know what else we want to do? We want to make sure that our young people stop dying of this terrible poison, this fentanyl and other drugs that are being brought in by these cartels. And I'll tell you a little story. I was talking to our great Secretary of Defense probably about a week and a half ago. And this was right after we lit up a narco-terrorist boat that was trying to bring drugs into the United States of America. And I got to tell you, I am a child of the war on terrorism era. I served just as Tom did in our military. I deployed to Iraq as a United States Marine, a young enlisted United States Marine. I am proud to have a president who is sending our military to light up the cartels that threaten our people in our own backyard. That's where the military belongs, if they belong anywhere. So I was talking to I said Secretary of Defense, but our new Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. And I was talking to Secretary Hegseth, and you know what he said? He said, you know what, Mr. Vice President, we don't see any of these drug boats coming into our country. They've completely stopped. And I said, I know why. I would stop too. Hell, I wouldn't go fishing right now in that area of the world. But that is what a military that is dedicated to its purpose and a commander-in-chief that is dedicated to the national good can do. If we just have our actual government fighting for the interests of Americans and nobody else, we can make this country safer. We can protect your jobs. We can make sure you've got the best wages anywhere in the world, and we can stop this terrible poison from coming into our country. We just needed a president who was willing to fight for you, and now we've got one. So let me leave you with this final thought here. Look, I grew up in a community. You heard Secretary Chavez DeRemer mention this, that I grew up in a community where the American dream seemed to be disappearing, where the jobs were getting shipped overseas, where the factories were closing down. I remember driving around my hometown of Middletown, Ohio, and we'd see some abandoned factory. And my grandfather would tell me what used to happen there, what good jobs used to happen there, what good wages used to provide for families there. And I remember thinking, why is it like this? Why have our leaders ignored us for so long? Why are factories closing instead of opening up? Why are good jobs going to China when American workers deserve good jobs right here at home? And the answer was bad leadership. Just as our leadership chose crime, they also chose to ship your jobs overseas. Just as they chose to send our young men and women to foreign wars all over the world, they refused to stop the cartels that were operating right here in our backyard. And I believe our sacred promise And our sacred duty is to make this country even better for the next generation than it was for the generation that came before. That is why we're doing the things that we're doing. But I want to tell you, I'm never going to forget where I came from. I am never going to forget that I was a little boy who was worried about why the jobs were disappearing. I'm never going to stop fighting for the auto workers to have good jobs right here at home. I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop, and neither is the President of the United States, from fighting for your public safety, for your good wages. We're going to fight for when you send $1 to Washington, D.C., that we spend it wisely. We're going to fight for you to have low taxes. If you're working hard, we're going to fight for you to keep as much of your hard-earned money as possible, because I believe that the American dream belongs to American citizens, not to illegal aliens, not to drug cartels, and it doesn't belong to foreign workers. It belongs to workers right here in the state of Michigan. So I hope you remember, when you're voting in 2026, you have a choice between somebody who tried to fight for the illegal aliens and somebody who tried to fight against the drug cartels. You've got a choice between somebody who is trying to get good law enforcement officers to be able to do their job and those who demonized our cops and demonized our National Guardsmen. You've got a choice between politicians who shipped your jobs overseas and politicians who fought to keep good American jobs right here at home. Ladies and gentlemen, in November of 2026, we are going to have to make a choice. Let's make it for America, for our workers, and for our families. God bless you all, and thank you for having me.
Send it on down. Hello, Pittsburgh. Still feel worker. Let me thank you for your time. You were the boy you are living. Send it on down. This is for the one we hammer. Driving home the nail. For the one behind.